We live in a world where people speak endlessly, yet reveal so little. Where conversations swirl around us, but true intimacy feels like a rare, fragile element. So today, I want to explore something deceptively simple: the power of two questions. Not tricks, not tactics, not formulas to trap someone into confession, but two invitations that open a window into her real interest. Because attraction is not measured in dramatic declarations, it lives in the subtle spaces, in the quiet yes, in the way a person meets you halfway emotionally. Curiosity is the quiet force that transforms ordinary interactions into meaningful exchanges, and it plays an essential role in revealing genuine interest. When you approach someone with sincere curiosity, you are not trying to gather evidence or test them, you are creating space for authenticity to unfold. Curiosity invites her to relax, to stop performing, to stop second-guessing what she is supposed to say, and instead reveal who she actually is. It signals that you are present, attentive, and willing to understand her beyond surface impressions. In this way, curiosity becomes the doorway to connection, not because it extracts information, but because it fosters emotional safety. People naturally open up when they feel seen without judgment, and your curiosity becomes the gentle permission slip that encourages her to share, express, and reveal. Curiosity also shifts the energy of the conversation from pressure to exploration. When you ask a question with a mindset of discovery, you're not trying to force a moment, predict an outcome, or control her response. You're simply inviting her into a dialogue where her thoughts, feelings, and memories matter. This alone can tell you so much about her level of interest. A woman who feels drawn to you will respond to your curiosity with her own curiosity. She will engage, reciprocate, elaborate. She will give you more than you asked for because the emotional space feels good to her. Conversely, a woman who is disinterested or emotionally unavailable will often keep her answers minimal. She won't invest energy, she won't open up new conversational pathways, and she won't mirror your emotional presence. Without pressure or confrontation, curiosity allows this difference to become clear. Another reason curiosity is so revealing is that it helps you listen differently. Instead of listening for confirmation of your hopes, you begin listening for truth. You notice tone, pacing, enthusiasm, hesitation. You begin to sense what is genuine and what is polite. Curiosity connects you to her emotional landscape, and in that landscape, interest becomes unmistakable. The quality of her attention toward you becomes visible. The energy she brings into the moment becomes palpable. You begin to feel whether she is offering you a piece of her inner world or merely maintaining a social interaction. Finally, genuine curiosity makes you more grounded and self-assured. You're no longer focused on impressing her or trying to earn her attraction. You're engaging with her humanity, not chasing validation. This shift in energy changes everything. It makes the interaction more balanced, more honest, and more alive. And it allows her real interest to reveal itself naturally through the way she meets you in the space. Your curiosity creates the subtle dance between what is said, what is implied, and what is withheld is often where true interest lives. Human communication is layered. Words are only one dimension of expression. When you listen to someone, especially someone you are drawn to, it becomes essential to pay attention not just to the literal content of their answers, but to the emotional texture behind them. People rarely communicate desire in direct, blunt statements. Instead, they reveal themselves through tone, timing, pauses, and the quiet signals embedded in their responses. When a woman is interested, her words may be measured, but her energy will lean toward you. She may speak softly, but her engagement will be unmistakably alive. These subtle cues show you far more than any rehearsed line or polite response ever could. At the same time, what she implies can be even more revealing than what she explicitly states. Interest often hides within hints, small openings that invite you to continue the conversation, explore her thoughts, or deepen the emotional connection. She might reference something you said earlier, follow up with a thoughtful question, or share a personal detail that wasn't necessary for the moment but felt natural to offer. These small gestures are signals that she feels emotionally safe enough to expand the connection. They show you that she is not simply responding out of courtesy, she is participating with intentionality, signaling that she wants the moment to continue. Implication becomes her way of expressing interest without needing to expose herself to vulnerability too quickly. Yet, just as meaningful is what she withholds. Silence is not always distance, sometimes it is reflection. A brief pause before answering can indicate that she is considering how to respond authentically rather than giving you a socially convenient answer. But withholding can also reveal disinterest. When someone offers nothing personal, avoids emotional engagement, or keeps every answer short and closed, it shows you that the conversation is not a place where they want to invest. The absence of curiosity, the lack of reciprocal effort, the emotional quietness, these forms of withholding speak clearly if you are paying attention. They help you distinguish between a woman who is cautious but open and a woman who is simply not invested. This dance between expression and quiet becomes a map of her true feelings. It helps you sense her openness, her barriers, and her willingness to meet you in a shared emotional space. When you learn to listen beneath the surface, you stop chasing clear-cut declarations and start recognizing the subtle, honest rhythms of connection. Words may answer your questions, but the layers beneath those words show you her real interest. Two simple questions can open a doorway into her emotional world in a way that complex strategies or rehearsed lines never will. These questions matter not because they are magical, but because they invite her to reveal where she truly stands, her openness, her intentions, and her willingness to meet you in a space of genuine connection. Most people move through conversations on autopilot, answering politely, offering safe responses, keeping vulnerability at arm's length. But when you ask questions that require her to reflect rather than perform, that encourage sincerity over small talk, you create a moment where she must choose whether to stay on the surface or step into deeper truth. That choice is where her real interest becomes visible. These questions are not designed to pressure or expose her. They are crafted to create emotional clarity. A woman who is genuinely interested will respond thoughtfully. She will give you more than the bare minimum. She might share a piece of her inner world, what she feels, what she hopes for, what excites her or scares her. She will invest effort into her answer because the moment feels meaningful to her. This willingness to expand the conversation, to offer detail, to reveal something real, is a strong indicator of emotional interest. It shows that she values the exchange and sees you as someone worthy of authenticity. On the other hand, these same questions reveal disinterest just as clearly. When someone has no emotional investment, their answers become short, generic, or vague. They may avoid introspection, deflect with humor, or shift the conversation back to safer, impersonal topics. They don't dive deeper because they don't want to. And the beauty of these questions is that they make this difference unmistakable without creating confrontation. You aren't interrogating her, you're simply giving her the chance to show who she is and how she feels. The true power of these questions lies not in the words themselves, but in how they illuminate her emotional availability. You begin to see how she navigates connection, whether she opens up, whether she reciprocates curiosity, whether she lets herself be seen. Interest is not just about attraction. It is about willingness. Willingness to share, to engage, to let the moment become something more than a polite exchange. When a woman is drawn to you, she will allow these questions to guide her toward closeness. When she is not, she will remain at a distance. In this way, the questions act as mirrors. They reflect back the truth she is already communicating through her presence, her attention, and her willingness to be emotionally honest. They help you step out of guesswork and into clarity, revealing her real interest through the simple act of inviting her to speak from a deeper place. Listening to both her words and her energy is one of the most powerful ways to understand her real interest, because attraction is rarely communicated in clean, direct sentences. Most people express their feelings in layers, and while words may reveal intent, the energy behind those words reveals truth. When you listen only to what she says, you risk missing the subtleties, the shifts in tone, the rhythm of her responses, the warmth or coolness that sits beneath her voice. But when you tune into her energy, you begin to notice the emotional undercurrent of the interaction. You sense whether she feels excited to engage with you, whether she feels safe, whether she feels drawn in or pulled away. This sensitivity allows you to read beyond logic and into instinct, beyond content and into connection. A woman who is genuinely interested usually brings a certain aliveness into the conversation. Her energy leans toward you rather than away from you. Even if she is shy or reserved, you will feel her presence moving in your direction. She may listen more closely, laugh with more softness, respond with more depth, or initiate small moments of connection. Her body language opens rather than closes, her tone carries warmth rather than neutrality. These cues are often subtle, but they're unmistakable when you're paying attention. Interest has a way of revealing itself even when words stay carefully measured. It appears in the way she remembers something you said earlier, in the way she follows up with a question, in the way she allows the conversation to linger just a little longer than necessary. On the other hand, when her energy withdraws, it tells its own story. She may keep answering politely, but the emotional engagement fades. Her tone becomes flatter. Her responses become shorter. She doesn't reciprocate curiosity, doesn't open new conversational paths, doesn't offer pieces of herself unprompted. This doesn't mean she is cold or unfriendly, it simply means she isn't invested in deepening the connection. Energy doesn't lie, even when words try to soften the truth. When someone wants to be close, their presence expands. When they don't, their presence contracts. Listening to her energy also requires you to listen through your own expectations. If you're too focused on what you hope to hear, you may ignore the signals she's already giving you. But when you stay grounded, free from the pressure to impress or decode, you create space for clarity. You can hear her words without attachment, feel her energy without assumption, and understand her interest as it naturally unfolds. This attunement turns listening into a form of emotional intelligence, allowing you to perceive not just what she says, but how she feels in the moment you are sharing. Understanding interest through presence rather than pressure is one of the most transformative shifts you can make in any romantic interaction. Presence is the quiet confidence that comes from being grounded in yourself, from knowing that connection cannot be forced, rushed, or engineered. It is the ability to show up fully, to listen without an agenda, to engage without demanding a specific outcome. When you embody presence, you create an emotional environment where authenticity can emerge naturally. A woman feels this. She senses when she is being seen rather than evaluated, when you are connecting rather than trying to extract validation. Your presence becomes an invitation for her to be real, and in that space, her true interest reveals itself without manipulation or pressure. Pressure, on the other hand, distorts everything. The moment she feels pushed to respond a certain way, to prove something, or to reassure you, the dynamic shifts from connection to performance. Pressure makes people retreat into polite answers, surface-level engagement, and emotional guardedness. Presence does the opposite, it softens defenses, opens dialogue, and brings forward sincerity. This is why presence is so powerful. It allows you to see her as she is, not as she thinks she must be to satisfy an expectation. When you remove pressure from the interaction, the signals of interest or disinterest become more honest, more organic, and far easier to read. When you are present, you engage with the moment rather than the outcome. You listen with your whole attention, not simply waiting for your turn to speak. You ask questions because you genuinely want to know her, not because you're trying to test her. You hold eye contact with warmth rather than intensity. Your curiosity is sincere, your responses are thoughtful, and your emotional tempo encourages openness. This creates a relational rhythm where she feels comfortable meeting you halfway. If she is interested, she will naturally lean into this dynamic. She will match your presence with her own, allowing the connection to grow without fear or hesitation. Her engagement becomes a reflection of the safe, grounded space you are offering. Presence also keeps you rooted in self-worth. You are not clinging to her reaction or hinging your value on whether she reciprocates. You understand that real interest cannot be manufactured, and that compatibility cannot be forced into existence. This inner steadiness allows you to interpret her signals clearly. You can recognize enthusiasm without exaggerating it, and you can acknowledge disinterest without taking it personally. When you operate from presence, you trust that the right connection will unfold with ease, while anything that requires pressure was never aligned in the first place.